All right, guys, this week's Restoration Revelation is going to be really fun. We are going to do an experiment here in my lab, and we are going to be showing you the difference between rust that'll kill you and rust that'll let you survive. Anyways, there's lots of questions about how to address rust in a car. We all fight it. We've all had the problems. I got to tell you, man, I've spent a lot of money building cars and going into this stuff way too deep in the past. Like, you have no idea. Like, I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars worth of labor and effort because everybody said that's the way it's supposed to be. I call horse pucky. And this week we're going to roll you through exactly the physics behind rust, and I'm going to show you some details with an experiment behind me of how you can actually kill rust. Neil Young was actually wrong. Rust never sleeps is what he said. I say horse pucky. Let's get on with the episode. It's going to be fun this week, hopping in to the rust buckets. All right, kids, we're going to try an experiment. What we're going to do is we're going to take a couple pieces of steel. These are the same. Exactly, it's like a magic trick, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to place them, 2 white bowls. Now this is a piece of stainless. I'm not going to use that. That would be unfair because stainless doesn't rust, and I explained that to you. If you ever want to know, just reach out. Anyways, let's talk about these two right here. What we're going to do is we're going to take some table salt. All right. Oh, salt, not raw steel. Not good. We're going to put a little bit of water in it. All right. Mix it around. We don't want to have too much in there. I'm going to put more of salt. Whoa. Hey, friends, you like cooking? I watch cooking shows. I watched this cooking show with a guy named John Pierre. He's like, hello, friends. Let's get to cooking. I love the guy. Look him up. He's like a lot of fun. Anyways, I'm going to pour some of this water off. What I want to do is have it enough on the top. Pour some of that off there. It's got plenty of salt in it. Yeah. Always to flavor. Always salt your food to flavor. Okay, we're going to put one of these in the ambient condition, right? One mixed up real well, real nice right there under a time lapse, and let me get that going. So that'll sit there and record that one. That's just water and salt. Now, I got to get this in here pretty quick. I'll be okay. Hello, Kermit Frog here. All right, let me get the top of this thing. This is a vacuum chamber. I actually designed it and made it a while ago. I used to make equipment that shipped all over the planet. And what we would do is we use these for actually evacuating and testing inkjet cartridge and printing, refilling all at the same time. Anyways, I'm a mechanical electrical engineer by trade. But what we're going to do here is we're going to seal up this little vacuum chamber, right? I'm Bill Nye the Science Guy, dude. All right, put that together like that. Now, we got this hooked up. We're just gonna run a regular old vacuum pump. This is like you would use for evacuating your air conditioning, right? Here's the gauge right here, boom. So let's do that. We're gonna watch the gauge come up, and what we're gonna try and do is get it to about 35 inches of mercury, right? So that means we're pulling the air out of this chamber. What I'm doing is evacuating the oxygen. What I'm trying to figure out and prove in this experiment is, can you kill the rust? And how do you kill the rust? And this is a very simple formula. We all know that rust, well, let me tell you, rust needs oxygen, is what I've been told, what I believe. Physics never change, and it needs water, it needs moisture. Everything on the planet needs oxygen. It's just the way it goes. All right, this thing is getting up there. I'm gonna wait for that to get to about 30, and then I'm gonna take a couple clamps and seal it off. We'll leave the time lapse running on this thing. I got no time lapse because I got no more cameras. But anyways, let's hop out of this thing. As this experiment is running, I'm almost there. And we're gonna go look at you some rust on a car. And I'm gonna show you the difference between what's acceptable and really what is gonna need a lot of attention. The one we're gonna look at is one of my favorite cars, a diesel motor in a 1970 Chevelle. Let's get running. All right, I'll see you over there. Let me get this finished. All right, guys, we're standing in front of one of my favorite cars. This is a 1970 Chevelle that I bought from a guy in Nebraska, and he put the Duramax in it. And I love this car. 1,000 feet of torque. It will throw down. It is fast. Anyways, we're going to dig into this car and look at, is it salvageable? Should we rebuild this car? Is the body okay? And I'm going to give you maybe 5 areas that I look at with a car that you should look at with a car before you do anything. Now, what's really nice about this car is you see all the natural patina. It's got all these colors. It's like a Skittles car, right? What I'm gonna do here first is I'm looking at, has this been painted? Sure, it's got some paint on it, but has it been taken apart? Probably, but it's not all shiny and pretty and covered up and made to look great. We've got a big hunk of Bondo. Look at, I could knock that out of there, but I'm not gonna do it right now. I guarantee you that's not rust, that's a dent, because this thing is solid. Look at the firewall. The firewall is clean and looks really good. Look up here under the dash. These are good places for you guys to look at when you're buying a car. You can find a gorgeous, beautiful car and look here and see all kinds of rust. It's buried in there. And if you bury rust the right way, you might be able to kill it. We're gonna see with our experiment as we go along. But if you don't do it the right way, you're just making them pretty and send them off to the auction or send them off to a big car wholesaler that's gonna say, you know, I just seen it on the internet. It's beautiful, it's perfect, look at the pictures. They're never gonna show you this type of detail. Let me show you. Let's go back a little bit farther. In the door, I love all these different colors. Orange and gold, but what I'm looking for is this area here. If it's had quarters on it, they would be seamed into here and it would be pretty obvious if it was or wasn't done. Now these gorgeous doors, you see this little lip mold right there where the door's actually, skin is actually bent over the door. It's all still crisp and clean. This is a nice car. Now look down on the bottom of the door, and how does that look? Is it rusty? If you guys see this area right here, filled, and it's like a smooth look, and then they painted over it, buyer beware. Again, we're looking for tells in these old cars of where people cover stuff up and where they rust. There's two areas right here we're gonna look at. The quarter, obviously you're gonna look at the front and you're gonna look at the back of it because they always typically rust here, but I want you to run your hand in any car you're looking at. This is like if I walk up to a car, I grab it right here, and what I'm feeling for is the inner fender well mounted to the quarter itself, because it's a very difficult thing. Lots of guys will hang a skin of a quarter over it and then they'll just Bondo that in, tape that in. I've even seen guys put great stuff, you know, like the insulation from your house, that great stuff, and spray it in there and cover it up. Anyways, really bad jobs, but this car is rock solid. Seriously, it's amazingly solid. Now, when you're looking in this area, let me show you a trick. This is the area right here that can be the most overlooked area of the car. You got to get your tail in there and look up there. Sometimes, check us out, if you put a light under it, hello light. Look at this, watch this. Oh. Houston, we have found a problem. All right, it's a great way to look at that part, because these things sit outside. It doesn't matter if doesn't matter where the car is, California or the Rust Belt. If it sits outside at any point in time, they are going to get water here, and you're going to have to fix that if you want to restore this car. All right, let's go check on the experiment. If I could actually put rust to sleep, kind of like I'm doing you in the video. Like, subscribe, follow along. It's good for nappy time. Come on, let's go check on it. All right, guys, here we are in my research lab where we got laser printers, 3D printers, all kinds of milling equipment, and we're gonna go look at that experiment that we worked on earlier to see if my idea actually worked. What we did is we took all the oxygen, most of the oxygen out of the equation, and we talked about rust. Rust is alive. Nothing in this universe lives without oxygen, right? Even trees that create oxygen need oxygen in the water. So what I did earlier was I did this vacuum chamber, ran it up to 30 inches of mercury. Right now it's holding about 27, that's pretty good. And then I just put salt water basically over two metals that are exactly the same. Did a time lapse on that, we'll show you how that looks. And then we'll take a look at the one that's in here. Look at, you come here if you look real close. This one in the vacuum chamber, after almost 48 hours, has almost no rust. And the reason that is because there is no oxygen. If rust is in a car or is on your car, it's alive. And the only way you can kill it is you got to take the air out of the equation, meaning you can't breathe, and you got to take the moisture out of the equation. And I'm going to show you on some of the cars that we have around here, salvageable, non-salvageable, where do you stop and where do you start. So just to restate what we did, we ran a vacuum pump on it, pulled it down to 30 inches of mercury vacuum. Just to give you guys a data point, 30 inches of mercury vacuum really isn't zero, because we have natural pressure where we are. It's called barometric pressure. So the average barometric pressure, like in this area, this time of year, clear days, probably about 30 pounds of pressure. That means there's 30 pounds of air pressure in the bubble that we actually live in. So me sucking all the air out of here at 30 doesn't even bring it to zero because the equipment is not sophisticated enough to do that. I also could have backgassed it with like argon. It has no oxygen in it. We didn't need to get that technical. All right, let's take this part. Come on over here. Come on. All right. I'll let the air out of it. You can see the vacuum's down. Take this off. Come on, baby. I guess I tightened them pretty tight. I built this thing a long time ago because I was actually making equipment that I shipped all over the planet. And I used to recycle inkjet printer cartridges. And part of the process was take the old ink out of it, and they had a sponge in it. And I wanted to not just dehydrate the sponge, I needed to rehydrate the sponge, but I wanted to take all the air out of the vector, Victor. All right, so here we are, side-by-side comparison with very, very little bit of oxygen, lots of salt, lots of water, exposed to the open air. If we just wipe these things off, give it a quick wipe, we can see what has actually been damaged on the metal. Give it a quick wipe, and you can see what's actually been damaged on the metal. Look at how significantly different these two are. Isn't that crazy? With water, with oxygen, without. Almost nothing. Isn't that crazy? Salt water. What? I know, it's crazy. All right, we're gonna go back and look at now the cars, what is savable and what is not, because when the metal is all sandwiched together, welded, put together, and it's got rust, I'll explain it to you when we get there. Let's go take a look. Okay guys, I want to walk you through like how to choke out the rust and when you should try and do it and when you shouldn't really try and do it. If you look at it, I'm in the back of one of my other buildings right now, and this car has got a lot of Swiss cheese on its jam sandwich. You know, when the metals are layered and spot welded together, they have to be really super clean and they have to be really free of rust. And if you look at, there's two pieces of metal that actually make this up. You see this is Swiss cheese right here? I talk about sealing it up with a material like this. It's called POR 15. So this is a great way to kill rust, man. If you can get on both sides of the metal, totally sealed up, I guarantee you that rust will not come back. It can't come back, it can't breathe, right? But if you want to fix something like this, a lot of guys, they will just lace like, you know, fiberglass into here, and they'll maybe try and put some sealer on it, but how do you get all the way up behind here? Look at the rust that's even in this area here. You're not gonna stop this unless you wanna cut it out and spend a lot of money putting in the materials. When this thing got quarters on it, it got halvesy quarters. That means they're halfway down. Usually a quarter comes up across this area right in here. So anyways, you can see by this approach and what's going on with this car that your selection of the cars that you're gonna try and restore or you're gonna work on really make a huge difference. What I'm trying to do is stop you guys from wasting a lot of money, because I have done it. I have replaced this stuff and I have fixed this stuff, and you're much better to buy a good car to start with. What I'm telling you is buy a good car. Don't buy a jam sandwich with Swiss. Let me show you up front what I got going on, and it's a car I built over 10 years ago, one of the first Chevelles that I actually built in my factory, and we actually did that approach where we didn't take all the paint off of it, but man, it still looks stunning. 22,000 miles and 10 years later. Let me show you. Proof is in the pudding. Let's go. Oh yeah, by the way, at the end of the episode, I'm going to tell you exactly where this link is at and how you can get me to send you one of these gap tools. They're made for measuring the gap spaces on your panels, door to fender, door to quarter, trunk, hood. They're a great tool and they're absolutely free. I even pay the freight. So I'm not afraid to ship them out to you, because this will make you a better body man and make you a better car guy. Don't take it to a car show. People are gonna hate you if you start measuring cars. They're like, oh, that's terrible. All right, let's go check out my car, come on. Look at this thing. This is the one I painted over 10 years ago. We did not strip it all the way down. Look at the finish on it. There is not a pop. There's nothing that has come back on this car. It was stable when I got it. It needed bodyworks. Heck, I even put floors in it. I think I put floors in it. Look at this. I can pull it up on my phone. Ha! You know how you do this with your buddies? You pull up your old phones. Look at this one. This is the car right there. 10 years ago in the shop, in the back. Look at, see the original paint there? And then the primer going over it, fixing it. Now, a lot of people say, hack, hack, hack. But look at this point in time, I didn't even pull the rear window out of the thing. And I was putting a floor in it. Look at that. Look at that. I put a whole floor in it because it actually needed it. Anyways, my point is, guys, don't make more work for yourself than you have to. This was a nice, solid, clean car. All I had to do was do some paint correction on it and find out if it had bubbles or popping at a timeout. I can't remember if it was, but I dug in there and cleaned it up and sealed it off. I choked that rust out. And this thing is gonna last forever the way it sits, and it's a gorgeous job. So I'm giving you guys some of the tricks of the trade that I've learned over the years. Actually, I just finished up the Gray Ghost last week. I didn't take it all the way down. It was a solid, beautiful car. Now, when you're digging into it, if you find issues, you dig it out, you address it, you choke out the rust. It's okay, but look at this thing, it's gorgeous. All right, guys, look at this car. It's actually gorgeous. This is one of my 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty Chevelles that went through what I call paint correction. I don't want to do body work. I don't want to do full paint jobs. I really don't, because it costs an arm and a leg, and it costs a lot of times. But this car was a super solid car when it came into me. It gave me the ability to actually knock it down, seal it really good, and put a beautiful, gorgeous paint job on it. And the thing is just stunning and gorgeous. And I warranty it for 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty on top of it. I know what this car is going to do because we've proven it. We did it with an experiment during the beginning. I showed you what I did 10 years ago, and I'm confident this is going to do the same thing. So guys, beat me up if you want. And I know everybody's got an opinion. Go ahead and put it out there, but it is what it is. Facts never lie. And speaking of never lying, going to the best part of the episode, I always end each episode with a little Bible study because it changed my life. And I want to tie it all together between rust, oxygen, Jesus, the light of the world. Let's just put it all together, can we? Come on, let's go do it. The best part of the episode, stay with me. Changed my life, it could change yours. All right, this is my favorite part of the episode. I get to tell you how to get the free widget spinners. They're not widget spinners, they're gap tools. Made for measuring the gap, like on your hood. And you go here, wow, nicely gapped. But if it's wider or fatter in different areas, this little tool that I'm gonna ship you for free, like even paying the freight, gives you a great tool to be able to measure it. Like pros use these, and now you can have one. Go to the car show, I'm telling you. Anyways, best part of the episode is always for me to do the Bible verse. Remember to click the link after the Bible verse. Stick with me for a second. Anyways, I talk about oxygen, and nothing lives on this earth without oxygen. We're going to read two things. We're going to read out of John. So the beginning of John goes like this, and this is the Gospel of John, written by John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. When they're saying the Word there, they're saying Jesus, right? Through him, all things were made. Without him, nothing has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. I look at this beautiful world that we live in and this gorgeous place that we're at and say, this can't just be happenstance. I really believe to the core of who I am that Jesus really did hang out with God. He is God. He came here to pay for our sins and salvation. He's got a great plan for us. But Jesus even goes on in Matthew and talks about rust. You'll get it. Hang with me for a second. All right, this is Matthew, another one of the Gospels, right? This is Matthew 6:19. Do not store up for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves steal. But store up your treasures in heaven, where both moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, so there is your heart also. The reason I share the Bible studies with you guys, because God's got a beautiful plan for you. Your soul matters to him. Your life matters to him. You matter to him. And he gave his life to save us through salvation. Those are red letters. That means Jesus actually quoted that. Treasures, I love the cars, right? But people matter a lot more than just the cars. So anyways, I hope this blesses you. Get in a Bible study. If you need a Bible, I always say, reach out to us. People reach out regularly, and I ship them Bibles too. So that's the good news of the day. Next week, it's going to be fun with the Restoration of Revelations. But don't forget, click the link. I'll send you a spinner. It's a widget spinner. No, it's a gap tool. It's a great tool. All right, peace out. See you next week.